Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the program Agenda. I'm your host, Cito Beltran, and thank you for subscribing to Signal TV and watching us on One News PH Channel 8 and 250. And for those of you who are not yet subscribed, please do so you can enjoy the many programs that Signal TV brings to you. And you can also watch us via facebook.com/one news ph, like some of our viewers who are watching all the way from the United States and all the other parts through Facebook, and also on YouTube, One News PH. You can also watch us via replay at 5 p.m. today. Anyway, today is November 10, 2021, Wednesday. And last night, as I was searching for our daily starter for today, this was the initial image and message that we were thinking of. Okay, we were planning to talk about this. The Holy Spirit holding the mouth of a frog, me about to comment on someone's political post. Kasi yan po dapat ang ating gagawing topic for today, because that's become an issue among many friends, especially on social media, where they have started to argue about one friend making a political statement on social media. However, because of the disturbing developments of sliders yesterday, sliders meaning a, someone running for vice president pulling out because he was instructed by the president, someone running for re-election as mayor pulling out, and then her brother coming in as mayor, and someone running as mayor and pulling out of vice mayor, etc., etc. And the talk around town is essentially eto na, nag-umpisa na ang circus, and the circus has begun, the merry-go-round has begun, and a number of people were offended by all of this. So this is what we chose for today. You can fool all the people some of the time, and some of the people all of the time, but you cannot fool all the people all the time. Wala naman pong particular na pinapatamaan. It is essentially the actions and the behavior of many people. I have been trained by our church to value my word of honor, commitments, and statements, and to stand by the things I say. And I see that in many Filipinos. But when our leaders, our local leaders, our national leaders make a political game of their intentions and their submissions for candidacy, it is already an insult to the Filipino people. Hindi ko po kayo pine-personal, but please, do not insult the intelligence of the Filipino people, because as Abraham Lincoln has said, you can fool all of the people some of the time and some of the people all of the time, but you cannot fool all the Filipinos all the time. And that's our daily starter for today. And now let us go to the front page of the Philippine Star so you can figure out what's really going on. And there you have it. The headline of the Philippine Star: Sara withdraws certificate of candidacy for Davao Mayor. Will she run for president or vice president? Yan na po yung main headline ng Philippine Star, because yesterday, supposed re-electionist for mayor of Davao, Sara Duterte, went to the COMELEC and withdrew her candidacy, and her brother Sebastian Baste Duterte also withdrew his candidacy as vice president, and it was Baste or Sebastian Duterte who took the position of running for mayor, and nobody knows if Sara is going to run for vice president or president. I mean, I think the biggest shocker is if she says, no, I am not running for anything, period. Well, that would be a welcome statement because at least she would be true to her words, okay? Meanwhile, yan po ang headline ng Philippine Star. Let's now go to the top of the front page, the header. DepEd wants more schools included in pilot face-to-face classes. Now, let me explain. The DepEd is not demanding for more classes to be part of the pilot study. The DepEd is saying if and when our pilot study of face-to-face classes is successful, Education Secretary Leonor Briones will ask President Duterte that the DepEd be allowed to expand the number of schools participating. Kumbaga, may pruweba na, may patunay na, so she will ask the President payagan na mas maraming schools. Okay, so just so you know, the pilot face-to-face classes in about 20 schools, I think, in the private sector and about 50, I think, in the public, will start November 15. The same date when which is the last day for the substitution of candidates. Let's now go to the other news on the front page. And the Senate, okay, has 61 billion allotted for booster shots in 2022 budget. Congress, both Senate, primarily the Senate, has made this allocation for single shot boosters for 2022, which we will all need, okay? And we've been talking about that even in the middle of 2021. We already raised that. So finally, the senators have allotted this money for the booster shot. Okay. Now, not only has the Senate allocated money for the booster shots, they have allocated money for warehousing and the hiring of more vaccinators for 2022. So wala nang dahilan para sabihing kapos sa bakuna, walang pasilidad, and no vaccinators because the money's there. Let's just pray that the DOH actually spends the money and does not park it. Anyway, let's go to the front page. Senator Bongo hints at giving up Vice President bid. Naku po, if you read this particular story, Senator Bongo said that he has been requested, okay? I will quote na lang, no? Senator Bongo indicated yesterday he is no longer running for Vice President in 2022. And to quote, gusto ko mang magsilbi sa inyong bilang inyong vice presidente dahil sa kagustuhan ng ating mahal na Pangulo, kailangan ko pong umiwas. Okay? And he further stated, itong kandidatura ko bilang vice presidente ay maaring magbago. Hindi nyo maiiwasan, okay? You cannot avoid, okay? Hindi nyo maiiwasang may mga changes sa politika na sabi ko nga, napakadumi, Kuya Eddie, okay? That is no less than Senator Bongo who stated that politics is so dirty in the Philippines. Okay, let's go back to the front page. And we have NCR alert level 1 possible if case drop continues. According to Secretary Duque of the Department of Health, there is a possibility that we could actually see the day when particularly NCR, specifically NCR, will have alert level 1 only if the number of cases go down to an average of 1,000 down to 500 cases. Because nangyayari naman po that there are days when the reported number of cases in NCR are really low. The ones that we usually hear about are the national figures, but specific to NCR, they do get those numbers. And if it is maintained, then all the business establishments will be allowed to operate at 100% capacity, etc., etc. Let's continue with the front page of the Philippine Star. Jollibee, McDonald's offer stores as vaccination sites. We have featured these companies on the program here on Agenda, where they have expressed their willingness and their actual cooperation with the different groups and national government to promote vaccination. Now they are all offering their stores as actual vaccination sites, because we've suggested that because alam niyo po, ilang libo, there are thousands of Jollibee and McDonald's stores all over the country, even in far-flung places. Now here's the thing, they're all over the place. The facilities are available. They have electricity. They have chairs, etc. And it would be the perfect place to lure the little kids. Lure, di ba? Parang, tara, magma-McDonald's tayo. Let's go for Jollibee. Yes, mama. And then pagdating doon, okay, the chicken, the bumblebee, and then the clown is Ronald McDonald is going to vaccinate you, ha? Okay, magandang idea po yan. Let's now continue with the news. And okay, father poses with girl as they spend the day at the mall in Ermita, Manila yesterday. Children are now allowed outside the homes under alert level 2. Although I have to say that officials of the Department of Health are having sleepless nights kasi po talagang, it is nice to see people to get out of their homes, look forward to a great Christmas. But if you are not careful with your face mask, social distancing, and etc., etc., we may all have a very short-lived, very short Christmas vacation, and we will all return back to barracks or to quarters. Okay, let's move forward. Senate takes a Rodi gag order to Supreme Court. Senate President Vicente Tito Soto has instructed the Senate of officials to file a case with the Supreme Court to challenge or to to request the Supreme Court to order Malacanang to respect the constitutional mandate of the Senate to conduct investigations in aid of legislation and to cooperate with such investigations. And so you may recall, we already have had comments on that where the Supreme Court has in fact issued a related order, somewhat similar to the request of the Senate, during the time of President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. Okay. Further, in the bottom of the Philippine Star front page, in Cebu, no vaccine, no Christmas bonus. Okay. Yan po, doon sa City Hall. Okay. Cebu Mayor Mike Rama has declared that employees who are not vaccinated will not be given the Christmas bonus. Now, before all of you start yelling bloody murder, it seems that Secretary Harry Roque, who is a lawyer, has commented that there is nothing illegal in the Rama Declaration because it is a bonus to be given by the Cebu City Council. Kumbaga, it is up to the gift giver to stipulate the conditions of who gets to receive it because because at the onset yung Christmas bonus po regalo, hindi naman po yon mandate of government, etc., etc. So para na sa mga tiga Cebu, it is also to your advantage because there was a time when you all went through hell when COVID-19 really ravaged the city and really hurt people and ruined the Cebu economy and also tourism, which Cebu City is very dependent upon. Okay. So, yan po, no? Malaking bagay yan. And people should really start thinking otherwise. Even Secretary Carlito Galvez has pointed out that we need to have a law that requires vaccination because we are trying to save the unvaccinated because they're the ones who are getting really sick and dying. Ah, naka 1-0 na po ako for the month of November sa mga kaibigan ko. One who died very young who was not vaccinated. Okay, let's go forward to the front page. On the front page, and what do we have next? Okay, Secretary Ramon Lopez sees a stronger economy for the fourth quarter with restrictions lifted. Okay, nangyayari na po yan. More and more companies have opened beginning October. Ngayong November, so many companies have opened, stores have opened, and consumers have been allowed. Kasi yun na po yung sinasabi natin. We have said that from the very beginning. Grandparents spend on grandchildren. With the two groups coming together and going to the malls, you can imagine what kind of money will be spent after 2 years of being quarantined. Now, the great news is, according to Secretary Lopez and according to our economists, the foreign direct investments have improved, our exports have improved. Sa madaling salita, ang economy po, against all odds, has managed to survive and has managed to, even in small ways, thrive in spite of the challenges, etc. Of course, as expected, it's the services sector that delivered the growth, while agriculture, which was the saving grace in 2020, has essentially failed in 2021 kasi po talaga namang yung livestock problem, livestock supply, ASF, poultry, importation, etc. nadali po ang Philippine economy. That's what we were also talking about yesterday in regarding with Secretary Manny Piñol, or former Secretary Manny Piñol of the Department of Agriculture, that the agri-sector has really suffered. Pati na nga kaming mga sabongero, nadali na. Okay, nadali kami and we lost quite a lot of income from all of that shutdowns. Okay, now let's go to the COVID-19 tally of cases. Good news, from 2,000 the other day, it's now down to 1,409. That's national tally. So hopefully mas mababa pa lalo sa Metro Manila because many of you have been vaccinated. As far as deaths are concerned, it's still double digit, but it's actually even lower now because yesterday it was in the 90s, if I recall correctly. Now it's below 50, it's 46. So that is a vast improvement, and we should all thank God Almighty for this situation and really appreciate the saving grace of the Lord. Okay, so at least naman mukhang hindi nagmamadali yung ating total tally of deaths na mukhang napako sa 44,567. Okay, so we continue with the program, and later we will be talking about the medyo na-interview na po natin sila, but we will be featuring them again today. I refer to the Philippine Statistics Authority, particularly about the national ID. Kasi alam niyo po, here's a story before I go into that, no? And hopefully we will make all the necessary connections. My wife and I had taken a trip to Manila to take care of documents, and I had my blood test, I had my eyes test. Oh, by the way, just to let all of you know and remind all of you, okay? When I share medical conditions, hindi po ako naghahanap ng awa, okay? I am not asking for pity, etc., or I'm not trying to look like a war hero, okay? But for instance, I have glaucoma on my left eye. And it is a condition where your vision shrinks, your field of vision shrinks like that or shrinks like that. I have a friend whose field of vision has become so narrow, he's legally blind. Okay. Now, the thing with glaucoma is if a family member has it, chances are someone in the next generation will have it or the generation after. So kumbaga either mamanahin ng susunod o lalaktaw. We didn't know this when it all happened in our family. My father apparently had an eye problem, but we never really knew about it. And then my sister got it, and I didn't know that it was, genetic or whatever until one day medyo para akong duling-duling doon sa salamin. And I noticed. I said, "Why is my left eye so worse than my right eye?" So I started checking, your eye test, etc. And I realized that my vision is so limited. This is what I can see up to here. Anything above that, I cannot see on my left eye. So anyway, so I went to the doctor and I found out I had glaucoma. Now, take the blessing where you can find it. I am thankful that we actually learned I had glaucoma, and we were able to undergo tests, etc. Depending on where you go, the specialist you go, may mga mura namang lugar, lalo na government hospital. Patingnan po ninyo. I think Rizal Medical Center has that in Manila, in Pasig. I don't know here in Lipa. But in any case, you have that tested because the sooner you are able to take medicines, which are generally just eye drops, the quicker you are able to arrest it. Lalo na po kung bago. Okay? So, anyway, I went to Manila. Ibang story na yun. Okay. Baka mapagalitan ako. Okay. Anyway, we went to Manila and, Manila to Pasig for my blood test, eye test, x-ray, etc. Diyan ba sa yung estancia, okay, in Ortigas, Pasig, Ortigas. And while we were resting, about to have our dinner, I heard these ladies in government uniform, parang government uniform, talking to some food delivery riders na doon sa may restaurant na kinakainan namin. And they were saying, "Sir, kuya, baka gusto ninyong mag-apply ng national ID." And I've heard so many stories about the national ID na medyo parang madali, mahirap, mabilis, matagal. So, out of curiosity, being a journalist and talagang curious lang, I went and, ma'am, kami ba pwede? Are we qualified? And they asked, how old are you? I said, 65. Oh, boundary pa kayo, sir. This was at about 4:30, 5 o'clock. Pasara na yung facility eh. And so I walked over with my driver's license and my senior citizen card. In 5 minutes, they had taken my biometrics. They had done it, finished. Walang hassle, walang masyadong maraming aberya. And I remember I actually took a photo of the person's ID, yung supervisor. Her name is Dulcinea Dakina, Registration Center Supervisor, doon sa may lower level ng estancia. And I just want to salute Dulcinea and her team because they did such a quick job and they even went out of their way. Hindi po sila umupo doon, naghintay. Sila naghanap doon sa mga tao who may not have been aware na meron. Okay. Anyway, for today, our guest, okay, going, ano natin, kumbaga, swing natin. She is the Assistant Secretary and Deputy National Statistician heading the PhilSys Registry Office, PRO, and National ID Program. Okay. Which is under the Philippine Statistics Authority, lead agency implementing the Philippine Identification System or PhilSys. Let's bring in Assistant Secretary Rosalinda Bautista. Welcome back, Madam.
Thank you, sir. Well, thank you for this another opportunity to talk again about the national ID. And I was listening to your experience, and I'm really happy that you're supporting the project very well.
Well, no, I'm not just supporting. I am really grateful because to find government employees going out of their way, walking the area, asking people baka gusto po talo pa nila yung nagbebenta doon sa sa palengke, di ba? Ay, punta na kayo dito. And then
Sir,
man to man, woman to woman, they were promoting and offering the services. And I was also improved. They were impressed na quick, very professional, and very relaxed.
uh, it's true. Actually, ang mga nagiging concerns lang po namin ngayon sa registration because, as the environment, as the condition ng ating COVID improved, we have
Mm.
actually also opened up but maybe a week from now, yung para sa below 18 years old. Nung pong pinagbawal na lumabas yung below 18
Mhm.
years old, so we had to disable yan dun sa aming system as well as the registration of the more than 65 years old. Kasi po may
Mhm.
areas na they don't allow even if lumabas na si 65 years old dahil pumunta ng for medical check-up, they would not allow the registration centers to accept them for registration. Otherwise, lalo na po sa mall, they will be penalized if they
Mhm.
violate some rules. So, thank you po na you appreciated, you had a very good experience. Estancia, yung pong sa Estancia was actually recently open. Meron din po kami very near that area, yung lahat ng occupants ng Ortigas Center, yun pong mall around
Mhm.
that area, we did institutional registration para pong ex-deal. They will allow the registration of the establishments in our annual survey of establishments and the census of Philippine business and industry. At the same time, mag-organize naman ng institutional registration for their employees.
Okay,
So we
so
also
kumbaga pakyawan na.
Opo,
Haba
opo.
while you are surveying the business establishments in the facility, doing statistical recording of the type of business, number of employees,
Yes,
et
sir.
cetera, nandiyan na rin kayo ano na kayo, magparehistro na kung puwede nga lang magpabakuna na rin ano para,
All in
one
one.
take all.
Yes, then there was an earlier. Actually, if I remember, we had Secretary Carl had that
Mm,
suggested the idea. Now we will go in the same area. Now where
mm,
the vaccination is, we will also be there for the registration. But hindi po na finalize yung arrangement na yon. So we continue to work on registrations despite the pandemic, like po sa in Davao, na-close po ang registration centers in all the malls. So what was done, we resorted to yung may by barangay. So
why were
people,
why was the registration in the malls shut down?
because it was something na hindi po makontrol yung crowd and people flock to the
Ah,
registration centers and very
mhm,
difficult po. So actually hindi lang naman po registration ng PhilSys ang na-close, all other activities
hmm.
that involved yung pagdami ng tao ay talagang
Ah, okay.
they requested us to stop, but it has actually resumed already. So we're thankful that kaya medyo po na late ang kumbaga yung hitting the target of
Mhm.
Davao del Sur because of that.
Yeah,
Yun
but,
pong pag-encourage namin
yeah.
is part of our strategy as our teams we have targets to meet, like we have to hit for 50 million this year,
Okay.
so we want to reach that target. Actually we want to reach even more than 50 million and we're
Mhm,
already 41 million as of November 4. So meron pa po kaming more 6 weeks, 7 weeks to work on the remaining 9 million.
mhm,
And as we also expect people to be to do online registration for our step one, so that they can schedule their visit to the registration center, and at the same time yung pong ginawa nyo is what we call the sequential step 1 step 2. Nagpunta kayo doon, hindi kayo naka-online, you had driver's license
mhm,
with you, which is acceptable for purposes of registration to identify yourself, and dahil siguro mag-aalas 5 na, kaya wala ng tao. But normally, they will not allow on walk-in registrants kung may mga nakaschedule po.
okey. So, talagang bine-bless ako ni Lord, ASEC 'no. Now eto may nagtatanong, so wala na po sa estancia, gusto ko sana pong pumunta.
I-check ko po kung nandun pa sila kasi possible po na special arrangement yung sa estancia. Marami
Mhm.
pa po kaming other areas like I hope you don't mind. We're
Go
also
ahead.
in Robinson's forum
Mhm,
close to that area. So meron din po kami doon. And for those depende po sa inyong location.
mhm.
Usually all malls ng SM and Robinsons, we are present. We have been blessed na
Oo.
nag-provide as part of their corporate social responsibility, these two big malls allowed us to open registration centers sa kanilang mga malls. Dito po
Hmm.
sa Robinsons Galleria, meron din po dyan.
Okay. Outside Metro Manila or NCR, ASEC, kasi actually, truth be told, ladies and gentlemen, I am a Johnny come lately. Kumbaga, nahuli ako sa parada because all of the people who live with us here in the compound dito sa Lipa City, yung caretaker, his wife, lahat sila registered na with the national ID. Tapos sabi ko, ang gagaling nyo, ni hindi man lang kayo nagsabi, sumimple kayo, lumabas kayo, nagparehistro kayo, tapos bumalik kayo. Tapos sasabihin yung registered na kayo. Here I mean, in the provinces, where do you do the registry for
Registration.
PhilSys?
We started actually, sir, with 32 provinces. Way back in January of this year, we started with 32 provinces. Pero yung nilista rin namin, naging focus doon sa 32 provinces, was also yung ini-step 1 namin ng October to December of 2020, which came from the list of listahanan 3 of DSWD. So,
Mhm.
I've told this already before na ang initial focus po namin was to register the low-income families. Yung members, the low-income members of, especially the household head, in
Mhm.
these areas, kaya po ng mga nasa parplang areas sila, pumunta po talaga kami, nag-coordinate with local government units in every
Mhm.
province and in every municipality. Our field offices, the PSA field offices, coordinated with local government units to identify the areas na marami pong concentration ng low-income families. So,
Mhm.
sila po yung talagang, kasi bakit? Siguro ang tanong nyo, bakit low-income families? Because one of the goals of the PhilSys is financial inclusion. So marami po tayong low-income families who do not have or who are unable to open a bank account dahil wala silang proof of identity. We are
Correct.
lucky that tayong mga middle class, we have lots of IDs with us.
Mhm.
But for them, kahit na po voters ID, they're unable to vote dahil siguro wala sila talagang any identification na may papakita. So, dalawang government IDs ang nire-require. So, with this, they were given priorities, but hindi po enough yun. We also worked with Land Bank for collocation. So we had many areas where we had land bank booths so that after registration ng step 2, at you
Mhm.
are interested to open a bank account, you can go to the booth of the land bank that is
Mhm.
there in the same registration area and be able to open. As of now, we have actually onboarded 5 million na registered in the PhilSys who actually were allowed to open bank accounts.
Okay, so first of all, no, pakilinaw Asek Bautista, okay? Now, kasi may nagtanong sa akin yan eh. Sir, ano ba talaga ang paggagamitan ng national ID? Even in the future, no? Kasi sabi ko, wag kayo, baka magaya tayo sa Hong Kong na pag umarive ka, hindi passport ang pinapakita yung
National ID.
resident ID. Okay, so Ase, could you please explain sa mga
Okay.
viewer?
Primary po is actually to provide for a seamless transaction. So,
Mm.
why seamless transaction? With the national ID, it is a valid proof of identity. I am who I say I am, and this is my ID, and that can be checked online and offline. Compared to other IDs, the national ID is a digital ID. Wala po siyang wet signature. Na nasanay tayo, titingnan yung picture, titingnan yung pirma, okay, ikaw na nga ito. But you see, we have already many cases na napaprod po, naka-assume na nanakaw yung identity. With the national ID, we can be very sure that you are the person whom you claim you are. And it will be very difficult if you're going to, like for a voter, simple lang
Mm.
po, for better governance, hindi ka makaka-register ulit kasi kung mamamatch ng COMELEC yung iyong registration through the national ID. So they will just have to connect with our database. So isa po
Mm.
yun. Second, when the government provides for ayuda or any financial assistance or any social protection program, you can only be registered once. So, ibig sabihin po, yung registration mo will be unique. You cannot go to another municipality and
Mm.
register as a recipient.
Yung
So,
lagaring hapon, yung lumagaring hapon, tumanggap sa ayuda sa barangay sa Novaliches, tapos nakatira sa Pasig, kumuha rin sa Pasig, yung mga ganon. That will be avoided.
yes, sir, those will be
Okay.
avoided.
Mhm.
Also, opening of bank accounts is made easier because of this EKYC, the online and the offline verification or authentication that can be done. And then, sir, we are opening up the doors for digital transformation. Yung
Meaning,
meaning mas madali na po ang ating mga transactions ay pwede nang we are going to that na puro online. So hindi pwede na tayong ah, in well, sabi ko nga nag-uumpisa pa lang tayo just like in China, wala ka na pong nakikitang pera, puro na lang po card ang hinahawakan. And that
well,
becomes
like
easier for us.
my wife went home to to the Netherlands, to Holland, few last year, and sabi niya, they don't use money anymore. Everything is on a debit card or on a credit card. So, yung currency parang mawawala na yata. So, that's so true, no? Now, Asek, we'll just go for a quick break. When we come back, let's go to the requirements and who is qualified. Kasi may mga matatanda, mas matanda sa akin, nagko-complain. Bakit daw sila excluded? Bakit daw ang cut-off 65? Okay, we'll go for a quick break, Asek, and when we return, let's talk naman about the requirements quickly, and then what are the glitches or delays, if any. We'll be right back here on Agenda. Welcome back to the program Agenda. And before we go to our main discussion, I just want to do a shout out to our friends at BMEG Feeds, our mga ka-BMEG, people I've been working with nationwide to teach them about proper hog racing. And I miss you guys. And sana magbago na ang ating mga levels para makapagpiestahan na. Let's go back to our guest for today, the ex-Deputy National Statistician, Assistant Secretary Rosalinda Bautista. Okay, ma'am. May mga nag-complain sa isang chat group ng misis ko. And they were asking, we went to this place, and when they found out we were above 65, they did not allow us to register. What's going on? Hope you're on mute. Naka-mute yata si ma'am.
Yes po, sorry for that.
Okay. Okay.
Wala inclusive po ang registration for the PhilSys, so all Filipinos, all ages, except that we have some prioritizations. So we are prioritizing the registration of the adult population. Unfortunately, because of the COVID, the those below 18 and those above 65 were not allowed to go out.
Ayun.
So
It has nothing to do with PhilSys or PSA. It has with the IATF and the restriction. Pero ngayon,
yes po.
wala nang restriction, pwede na sila magpa-register.
Yes, sir, that's true. So everybody who is allowed can already register. But yun pong mga pinagbawal, hindi po sa lahat ng areas. Specifically, for example, we experienced a complaint in Taguig on that matter. Kasi si retiree po, si more than 70 years old, they went out for a check-up, medical check-up. Along their way, nung pabalik na sila, they saw the registration center. So,
Mm.
they stopped for the registration because they were interested. Unfortunately, ang inalaw lang po na mag-register was their daughter. Pero
Mhm.
yung husband and wife who are beyond 65 were not allowed to register. So the
Mhm.
reason actually is that because they are not supposed to be going to the registration center. Pero sabi nga po namin, natakot din po kasi yung registration center na i-accommodate sila because their attention will be called and that, other people
Yeah.
can do it. So,
Okay.
mahirap na po siguro and it will be more difficult if they are told to stop the registration because they're unable to control the
Okay. What
people coming.
what about identification requirements? Kasi yan naman na subject na naman yan to haka-haka, chismis-chismis. Ano ba ang
Basic.
minimum basic
Okay.
requirements niyo?
They're actually what we call first primary documents. Pag
Mm.
sinabi po namin primary, if you have it, please use it. For example, number one is the passport. So if you have an electronic passport, use it as your identification. Hindi mo na kailangan ng iba pa. The
Okay.
passport is sufficient. Another is the UMID ID. For those who are in government and with the private sector who have enrolled in the UMID, and there are about 26 million of
Mhm.
us, you can use the UMID ID. And then the third one that's also allowed is the driver's license. So, bakit po priority ito? This actually is, we call them primary because when you applied for these IDs, when you applied for passports, for the UMID and the
Driver's
driver's license,
license.
you were actually asked to present a birth certificate or a birth record. So actually, the fourth one is if you have a copy of your birth certificate and one ID, government ID, then
Mhm.
that completes yung primary document. So,
Mhm.
yun po yung magiging dalawa. But, if you don't have any of this primary document, it doesn't mean na you cannot register. You can still register. You can still use other IDs that you have, like PRC ID, voters ID, employer's ID. Pero sometimes, they will look at, kasi hahanapin po nila yung ID na may front-facing photograph and a signature.
Mhm. Kumbaga reference, okey.
As a
Kasi
reference for your
kasi nangyari
registration.
na yan dun sa sinulat kong SIM swap scam na may
Yes.
nagpunta na fake yung voter's ID, picture niya pero fake, tapos yung ewan ko barangay ID,
Yes,
fake na
sir.
naman. Mhm.
Yeah, I read your
Okey.
news about it, yung ni-repeat niyo na story about the
Yeah.
SIM swap ID. And the problem there is yung EKYC nung nag-present ng ID na siya ito,
Mhm.
parang
Okey.
makapagpalit siya ng SIM.
Okay, now, kanina, earlier we saw a video of these two, of a young lady and a gentleman na parang naka-periscope, nakaganon,
Yes
ano?
po.
So, I'm sure the viewers are wondering, kasi, ayan, yan, ano ba yan? Para sa mga hindi alam, ayun.
Yan po yung tinatawag, what you're seeing is yung sa iris scan. So, ano pong
Mhm.
kinukuha natin sa other than the demographic characteristics, which is already taken when you do the step 1 online, pagdating po ng step 2, biometric capture. And there are three things that are captured: the iris, the fingerprint, and the front-facing photograph. So,
Mhm.
basically, we compare yun po kasing fingerprints natin, yung 10, unique po yan for an individual person.
Okay.
In in the UMID, they were capturing only 4 para sa 4 na daliri. But here in the national ID, we're capturing all the fingers kasi mas malaki po yung population natin.
You're getting all the biometrics. Now, how does anyone checking the PhilSys or the national ID how are they able to get all of the, may chip ba yung national ID natin?
Meron
That if you scan it, or yung bang QR code na kokonek ka sa computer ng PhilSys?
Gano'n po 'yon. So may QR code po do'n, nando'n yung basic demographic but not the biometrics. The biometrics ay paggagamitan mo ng online authentication. So ko-connect ka po, so magkakaroon tayo ng mga tinatawag na relying parties. So
Hmm.
that doon 'pag relying party siya, when you go to them, they will do online authentication na sinabi mong, "Oops, ako si Rosalinda Bautista, here's my PhilID," and then I can go for the fingerprint verification.
Okay. So what will happen is, if I go to, like, let's say, immigration, and sasabihin, okay, we need to just a, a random check, Mr. Beltran. So tatawag sila, or mag-QR code, tatawag sa partner ninyo, or with the
Magko-connect po
government,
sila.
will connect, and that organization or that unit will confirm, yes, we have his
It's a match.
okay, it's a match. Ayun. Okay. Ngayon,
It's a match with the places.
okay, Asek, what problems are happening, para at least ma-explain mo naman doon sa kasi when I applied, sinabi sa akin, "Sir, wait ka lang ha para makuha mo yung card mo." Sabi ko, hintay ako dito. Ang bilis naman. Hindi, sir, 3 months from now.
Hindi po, kapag po wait ka lang doon sa center, hindi po validated yon. So definitely, wala pong validation yon. Kaya magdududa kayo bakit ka makakatanggap kaagad ng ID na i-issue kaagad. So
Mm.
we have a process after the step 2. Actually, there's a process of validation which
Mhm.
takes some time. So tinatawag po namin yon, it's a deduplication process to ensure that the registration is unique
Okay.
before a PhilSys number can be provided. So once naman na generate na yung iyong PhilSys number, PSN, your PhilID card will be personalized and subjected to multiple checks. Now, BSP, we are working, yung cards po natin are being produced at the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. So doon
Hindi
yung,
siya, sa Philippine Printing Office,
no, no.
BSP.
Yes po.
Okay,
BSP
okay.
ang nagpo-produce. Doon po yung production. Kaya po very strict din ang
Malupit.
facilities, yes, at BSP. And from BSP, it will be picked up by the PhilPost every
Okay.
day kasi ang capacity po namin, ang capacity for the production on a daily basis, it's 80,000 per day. So,
Hmm.
and then the PhilPost picks it up at 8 a.m. in the morning and goes for delivery.
Mhm.
Right now, ang major problem namin, which is actually ito po yung one of the areas being complained, is that many people have not received their ID. While we have released 5 million, dispatched 5 million cards already to PhilPost, only 3 million have actually been delivered to the owners of the PhilID. So meron pong backlog na mga 1.9 million ang PhilPost. And we really asked for patience, understanding, na mag-wait lang po tayo sa ating ID. There's a tracking system. You go to PhilPost tracking, you enter the 30-digit tracking number issued to you when you did your step 2 registration. Tapos makikita nyo po doon whether it's on its way or it's not yet there in the system of the
Okay.
PhilPost.
Okay, Asek, let's go for a quick break, and when we return, pag-usapan nga natin, marami raw mga nagpepeke o fake na Facebook accounts diyan. Nako, pati pala kayo na nai-scam na, no. Okay, we'll go for a quick break. We'll be right back here on Agenda. Okay, welcome back to the program agenda. And with us is Assistant Secretary Rosalinda Bautista, Deputy National Statistician of the Philippine Statistics Authority. ASEC, ano itong mga nagkukunwaring PSA PhilSys websites daw?
Okay, ang nangyayari po dito, nagkukunwari sila. There are times when you're so in a hurry and you want to register in our online, you're not able to get a slot. So
Okay.
that's where they take advantage of that situation, and they will charge you fee for being
Mm.
able to get an online registration booking. So wala
Mhm.
po tayong fee. Please don't ever go to those sites. Kasi ang delikado po dito, baka na-capture na rin nila yung yung demographic information.
Okay. Talagang
Pipiliin po
kumbaga
nila kayo.
okay, nagde-data mining,
Yes,
pinapalabas, they make it appear it is a service provided. They get your data and then they also get your money and it disappears, as people
yes.
would say. Okay, so
Yes po.
that's
So be careful because they get part of the information that we get for the step one, the
mm,
demographic is your email, your address, okay, phone numbers. So delikado, mahirap po.
okay.
Makaka-receive kayo ng maraming offers and everything. Nasingil pa
Okay.
kayo.
Okay, just a warning to our viewers, yung mga email po ninyo, you may not take them seriously or just parang wala, okay lang yan. No, I've already had complaints regarding phishing or phishing or what they call it. Kumbaga yung email na duplicate, napapatungan, and before you know it, meron ka ng mga transactions that you never even knew about. Okay, so what about this mobile PhilSys group? Kasi I've seen your people on the ground in Estancia. My people here have gone to your facilities, I think, in the mall here in Lipa City. Uh,
Yes, we have one in Lipa.
okay, what about ano itong plano ninyong mobile system?
Because of the delay in the deliveries of the physical ID, no po, we are also watch out for the launching of a mobile ID. So it's basically the same except that wala ka pong hawak-hawak na physical na ID card. But don't think na because you have enrolled for the mobile ID, hindi na darating yung physical ID. The physical ID will still you will still receive your physical ID, but in advance we will be issuing, or if you request and if you want and you have a smartphone, you will be able to apply for a mobile ID which will allow you to use it in the same manner as that of the physical ID.
Parang yung dinownload mo na QR code.
Yes, sir. Meron kang
Okay.
itsura nung mismo.
Okay, but isn't that dangerous, ASEC, na baka
Yes, kaya
ma-hack?
po kailangan grabe yung protection na kailangan namin ilagay. Like when you apply for a mobile ID, we have to make sure that's it, Sito Beltran who is applying and not somebody else assuming the identity of Sito Beltran.
Mhm.
And also, when you use your mobile ID, sa isang trusted or relying party, they also want to make sure that the mobile ID you're showing them in your cell phone is really your mobile ID.
Okay.
So,
And
kaya po hindi siya ganun kadaling i-develop yung system.
okay. ASEC, we've run out of time, so quick message na lang if you have any more to say to our viewers, please.
Yes, please continue to register kahit na po umabot na kami ng 41 million of our target of 50 million. We want to register as many as we can. Wala pong stopping ito. We want to register 90 million or majority of the population before the end of the term of the president. So please, kahit po mag-online lang muna kayo so your demographic data is already there. But please, be careful in the website that you are using for purposes of ours. step 1 online registration para
Okay.
po and then for those who have their IDs, please, their PhilID, please use only the PCN, the PhilSys card number, which is the public version of the PhilSys serial number. So do not divulge your PhilSys serial number unless it is required by law.
Okay, thank you very much, Asek Bautista. Have a good day. And once again, congratulations for all the hard work that PSA does. Saludo po kami sa inyo from birth certificates to national ID. You guys are really doing a magnificent job. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you, Sir Sito. And it's a pleasure to be interviewed in your program.
Okay. Yan po, si Asek Rosalinda Bautista. Please register for the National ID or PhilSys ID. And here's the blessing as we have been starting this week. Blessed is the man who trusts in the Lord and whose confidence is in the Lord. For he will be as a tree planted by the waters, who spreads out its roots by the river and will not fear when heat comes. From Jeremiah 17, verses 7 and 8. I leave you for today. God willing, we'll be together again tomorrow. God bless all of you. Thank you for watching Agenda, and please keep it here on One News PH.